Good morning. And welcome to what is, to be honest, quite a nice Wednesday. We've had absolute non-stop rain for the past couple of weeks, and it's kind of strange because I know someone who lives in Malta, and the heat over in Malta, according to them, has been absolutely unbearable, to a point where they've actually had power cuts. And that's how bad the heat wave has been over in Malta. And you'd probably expect that for it to be the Mediterranean, but it's not just places like Malta, it's most of Europe that's been in this incredible heat wave. Meanwhile, the UK, it's just been raining non-stop, except apparently now where it's summertime all of a sudden. So, yeah, I suppose that's a good thing. But Leah, good morning to you. Yeah, at least some sun. That's the point. At least we've got some sun. And that's where it gets good. We've got some good sun. I've put my wellies on, and to be honest, I don't think I should have. I think I could have gotten away with just my normal walking boots, but there you go. Hang on. Maggie Pie, good morning to you. Sweden has a derailed train due to the railway raining today. Oh, that's not good. Ben, good morning to you. Joining from your morning walk from your COVID quarantine for the 7th time. Oof. Oof, that's not good. That's not good. But do take care, Ben. But good to know you're joining us today. Kath OG, good morning to you. Yeah. Yeah, blue sky. Who knew? Who knew such a thing existed? Dave W, good morning to you as well. Kath OG, good morning to you. I said good morning to everyone. Yep, so far. Yep, there we go. Oh no. There we go. But yes, oops, there we go. Nick B, good morning to you. Like I say, good morning to everyone else who's joining us this wonderful sunny Wednesday morning. It's absolutely incredible. I can't believe it. Who knew? Who knew we could have such good weather? Zaltron, good morning to you. Yeah, it's just fake. In reality, it's just completely fake. Oh. And before we begin, I actually haven't seen the Barbie movie yet, nor have I seen Oppenheimer, which I really want to do. I really want to do the whole Barbenheimer thing. Because apparently you see Oppenheimer first, which has like an incredibly sad, serious take and leaves you feeling really depressed, and then you go and see Barbie and it makes you feel all better afterwards. At least that's what one of my friends did who did it a couple of weeks ago said. So I'm going to have to go do that at some point, just to do it for the sheer experience, to say that I did the Barbenheimer. But unfortunately, it looks like Matt Hancock just went and saw Barbie, and has now become somewhat of a bizarre TikTok sensation, singing one of the songs, and he's on a beach somewhere. And it just looks cringy. It is just so cringy that he's doing this. It's like, why would you do this? But anyway, yeah, the yellow thing, it burns. Ben, I find Lee Anderson continuing debacle to be very tiresome, and I just feel that he should be relocated just to shouting from a YouTube channel in the near future. Probably he will. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these big Tory names do end up with a YouTube channel or something like that. Like say, Boris Johnson ended up going to the Daily Mail, but I've said in the past, I think Boris Johnson would be very, very much at home if someone were to just give him a studio and just give him a YouTube channel and just set him up that way. I am still surprised no one has done that, but hey, there you go. I really think that is the ideal place for Boris Johnson. I think it's where he would find his true happiness, just being able to be one in a YouTube studio. I really think it is, but we'll see. Robot Monkey, hello there, hello to you. Did you get to the horses sorted? Yes, I did. We helped them out last time, although we had to wait for the owner to show up, but at least we managed to corral them so that they didn't go escaping onto the road. But there you go. Like I say, we'll have some, I can see them over there in the distance. I don't know if you can see them on here yet, but they're over there in the distance, if you can see them. Ben, yeah, it's appalling, genuinely appalling, considering his previous form as health secretary. Yep, exactly. Not a lot of people are, should we say, very happy that he's trying to go for this bizarre celebrity status. But yeah, it's all a bit sad, really. It's all a bit sad. Pretty Bird, greetings to you. Patrick H, good morning to you as well. Yep, Matt Hancock was on the beach. Yeah, exactly. I too was convinced it might not be, Matt Hancock either, but probably a piece of sewage. Mark Wilson, Tories planning to campaign on leaving the European Convention of Human Rights. Probably, but I don't think that would work. If they were to genuinely, seriously have a campaign on that, it would be the biggest single mistake they could ever make, because it is not that good. The consequences for leaving it, they know full well what the consequences are. It would destroy the current Brexit deal that we have, because that is baked right in to all of what the deal says. So if the Tories really want to do that, then it is a mistake on their part, and they're going to make absolute fools of themselves. They're campaigning on such a ground. Because as we always said, you can say whatever you want about how much sovereignty you want, but the thing is, other countries have their own sovereignty as well, and they're not necessarily going to do what you want them to do either, as we have experienced throughout this whole Brexit process. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but them campaigning on that, I very much doubt it. I mean, that will split the Tory party. That will split the Tory party, because there are still, should we say, sensible Tories in the party who don't want that. Anyway, I'm just going to wait under a tree for a second and try and catch up with your comments. As I say, I can't read the comments when it's so sunshiny, as they say. Maggie Pie, what paper would hire Lee Anderson as a columnist? Probably not. Although I wouldn't be surprised if he continued maybe with GB News. That wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, exactly. Larry the Cat, good morning to you. Robot Monkey, maybe I'm a bit suburban for my own good, but horses always unnerve me. Maybe I was trampled at Bosworth or something, possibly. Maggie Pie, I think, yeah, Viz or the Bean. Oh, please, at least the Beano has standards. At least the Beano has standards. Golden Moy, good morning to you from Croatia. Rabab, remind people that human rights are the only thing keeping Brexiteers from experiencing the French Revolution firsthand. That's very true. The Daily Beans, possibly. Pretty Bird. Need a hat with a brim for the bright days like this. I do have one, but I didn't think it was going to be this sunny. So I didn't put it on. Oh, there we go. Hang on. There we go. Anyway, we're caught up. Patrick H. The only reason the Tories would actually want to leave the HR is the return of the death penalty for annoying serial bravermen. Well, possibly. I mean, we know that's one of the things that they want to bring back. Mithril, good afternoon, or good morning, as the case may be. That would be a bit late if there was the afternoon. But anyway, welcome. As always, and like I say, welcome to everyone else joining us. Welcome to this very wonderful good morning walk. Like I say, we've actually got some sunshine, so I thought, I'll go and I will take some proper advantage of the sun being out, which is again kind of nice. So, although now, like I say, I wish I hadn't put my wellies on. But who knows? Maybe we'll get some use out of them later when we go on the path. I highly suspect that might be the case when we get there. Oh. But before I do forget about it, some good news from America. Some, to be honest, very, very good news. So, yeah, is that blue sky? Yep. Mithril, your pup gets the second vax today, so you can start walking soon. Oh, that's good. That's very good. Yeah, Ohio did a good thing. Yeah, Ohio did a very good thing. They did a very, very good thing, just to fill those people in who don't know about this. So, since the overturning of Roe v. Wade by the US Supreme Court, pro-abortion campaigners have now been wondering what we can do next. Because there's no way at the moment that Biden can actually pass into law protections, like abortion protections. He can't do that at the moment with the way that I believe it's the Senate currently stands. Because it's very much Republican controlled at the moment. So he can't pass anything that way. So what this has led to has been a movement by local states trying to pass into their own state constitutions abortion rights. And I think so far, I'm not sure how many states have succeeded in doing it yet, or whether there's still a lot sort of proceeding through these states at the moment, but Ohio might be the first indeed to do it when it comes up to the vote in October. But the Republicans, in attempt to try and stop this, tried to make having referendums on state constitutions a lot harder. Shock horror. So they insisted that the threshold for a motion to pass, or a referendum to pass, had to be at least, I think, above 60%. So it was instantly trying to make these referendums that were going to be about protecting abortion rights really hard. And ultimately, at least from what I can see from my side over here, this seems to have massively backfired. Because instead of it, or at least what the Republicans sort of said, saying, oh no, you don't understand, these referendums, they're far too easy to do. It actually turned into, well, hold on, these Republicans are actually going after democracy. So it's completely backfired on them. And we got news this morning that that the Republican initiative had failed, which was good. So it does look like that in October, Ohio is going to pass the abortion protections for their state constitution. And this then opens up the way for other states to follow. Now, ultimately, what you will get is that the anti-abortion activists are going to kick back in some way. They always do. They've always been like this in some way, shape or form, trying to really limit down on the right, especially in America, for quite some time. So this is yet just a continuing battle, but if Biden's smart, to be honest, if Biden's smart, then I would just make this an issue at the next general election. Just make this, you are going to pass, abortion rights into law. Have a fully protected law that you are going to pass, and the Republicans will never be able to repeal it. And then you will get probably a lot of protections then. But like I say, good news from America for once. Very good news. But that fight, as we always said, when Roe v. Wade was... Oh, hang on. I don't know if you can see him. Oh, no. That was a heron. He's flown off. But never mind. So, good news actually from America. In fact, two, probably lots of good news very recently. Obviously, we've had that recently. And of course, Trump facing his third indictment and soon to probably face his fourth. So, honestly, good news from America, to be honest, a lot recently. Some very good news. Meanwhile, our own fearless leader has instead decided to, well, have a trip to California and essentially do what he normally does, or what he's good at, which is doing exactly nothing. And like I say, Brexiteers are not happy. The Brexiteers are not happy. 3 massive Brexit climb downs have happened very recently, and they are not happy. So we'll see what happens on the Brexit front. But as we've said before, the ERG, the once mighty beast that it was, no longer really is. It has ceased to be, very much so. Will they actually be able to muster up something? We'll see, but I very much doubt it. Maybe it will be a big bluster, but I very, very, very much doubt it. That they'll be able to really conjure up anything, because it really does seem that they are absolutely well and truly spent, certainly as a spent force in any sort of political form. And I must remind you, coming up to the infamous Barnsley Triangle, so if I do lose connection with you, I am very sorry. Like I say, stay tuned, and we will be back momentarily. But also sorry that I can't read your comments, because again, it's a bit difficult to try and read your comments because I can't see the screen. Oh. Barnsley Triangle ahead, yeah. Oh. So we're coming up to an interesting season. It's the quiet season politically at the moment, which we all know. Our MPs are on holiday, but of course things are still happening. Of course, we've had, so we did a video yesterday, 57 swimmers came down with diarrhea after swimming in the sea in a World Triathlon Championship. So, yep, that is going to go down incredibly well. Teresa Coffey still completely AWOL, nowhere to be seen, which doesn't surprise me in the least. But we're coming up to conference season, and I think the Tory conference is going to be in September, I believe, early September, and then I think the Labour conference will follow, I believe, shortly afterwards, I believe. And we're going to have to see what performances are put on, because I'm not going to lie, if Rishi wants to try and infuse any sort of good direction into the Conservative Party, he really, really has to give the performance of a lifetime. I will tell you now, Sunak has never done anything like that before in his life. He is incredibly uncharismatic when it comes down to it. So the chances of him being able to do that at the conference are dire. And if anything, his conference performance, I think, will dictate when or where we get a general election, because I don't think now, unless we get a very late one, but we'll probably learn within a month or so, to be honest. It's a bit late for calling one now for this year. But if we get a general election, it will probably be early next year, maybe May. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens when it comes down to it. But obviously we've got Keir Starmer as well. And the job of Keir Starmer has to be at that conference. All he has to do is a bit of energy, and he can put on a more convincing performance than Rishi Sunak. That is it. A bit of, policy about what he intends to do and how Labour will improve and, fix the country after years of Tory rule. And that's it. It is, to be honest, the easiest speech he will ever probably have to give in his entire life. I'm not going to lie. At least until the general elections. And I think, to be honest, he has more than enough capability to give good speeches. I mean, he gave last year quite a good speech. He set out, he told his own personal story, about why he wanted to be Labour leader, and about what he wanted to achieve. And to be honest, that went down very, very well as a speech. And he has been doing, there we go. And he has been doing a couple of very good speeches about what he wants to do and his promises. So ultimately, he is getting ready. He is getting ready, I think, to really go into full campaign mode. And that is good. That is good. At least we have a leader who recognises where it is going to be good to get into full campaigning mode. And eventually we'll actually have a decent government. For once. Oh, hang on, there we go. Oh, yeah. This is where the wellies came in handy. Oh, there we go. I'm surprised you haven't seen the swans recently. Oh, I say that now and we're blocking the path up there. So everyone's feeling, I think, the mood music, that there is a general election coming. And it's just a matter of really when it's going to get called. And the only person who can really decide that, as we said before, is Rishi Sunak and even the rest of the Tory party. And even they yet are not prepared. You know, the fact that CCHQ isn't actually prepared yet at the moment to fight a general election, that says a lot. Oh. Jane, good morning to you. And like I say, good morning to everyone else who I might have missed. There we go. I can now see the screen again. But yes, thank you very much to everyone who's joined us today. On the walk. Like I say, thank you very much for joining us. Like I say, please do remember to click on the like and share button. Like I say, that helps out the channel. And yeah, thank you very much for all the support that you guys do show. It's always fantastic to see you know, the support from you guys. Like I say, I'm always to be honest, like I say, astounded by the fact that I, you know, get the support that I do. Thank you so much. But yes, oh, thank you very much, Maggie Pie. Lee Anderson for the next Tory leader. Oh my, oh my. Oh, I wish. I wish. Because there would be someone who would just open his mouth and just walk. Oh, there we are. There we are, we're back. The triangle seems to have moved. Seems to have moved. Anyway, I'll just go back over what I just said, just to make sure that that you got it. There we go. So, if you were from the north of England, and I really think you have to be from the north of England to understand the character of Lee Anderson. You can just look at him and you instantly know the type of personality that he's going to be. Because, to be honest, there are thousands of Lee Andersons, or at least, shall we say, a lot of very similar people. We all, certainly up north, would recognise the Lee Anderson archetype. You know, the gruff and bluff northerner who, you know, says everything and anything that comes to mind, thinking, you know, it's right for him to say and to do that. And to be honest, if he was party leader, if he was the Tory party leader, oh my word, there would be a constant microphone in front of his face all the time, and he would constantly fail and fall into so much because of this really unearned hubris. This is where the wellies have come in handy. You know, this really unearned hubris that he has. And I've said before, you know, you recognise the archetype if you're from the north. You can go into any pub up here, or if you're really lucky, a working men's club, and you can sit down, order yourself a pint, and you will probably hear and see at least 3 Lee Andersons at once going on at the same time. So it's pretty incredible, to be honest, that I've said he's even there. Maggie Pie. I'm Swedish. I know exactly the type too. We have them here. Well, it's good to know that you know, that they're about everywhere. It's not just the north of England that has them. That's good to know. But it is easily, you know, one that if you are from the north of England, you would recognise. And I still can't believe this guy is deputy leader of the Tory party, because that is a really important position. And the only reason he's been put there is because I guarantee you this has happened. That Lee Anderson walked in and said, "Hey up, Rishi." Sorry. Now then, Rishi lad, if thou wants my support, I need to make me deputy leader at Tory party. I'll get them votes for you, no problem. No, I'll win you at Blue Wall. I'll win you at Red Wall, because I'm from North. I know how to speak true Northern. Of course, he's not. He's going to turn off so many, you know, traditional Tory voters. Even his own constituency. There is an active movement to generally get rid of him. A genuine, active, you know, movement to get rid of him. Macclesfield is from the Midlands. To be honest, anything outside of London is northern to the Tories. So poor old Rishi probably thought, "Oh wow, cripes! This guy." That's a Boris Johnson impression. "Oh wow, cripes! This guy's got a northern thingy accent. He'll appeal to them." And of course, he gets the job. And bear in mind, his first big test was the May local elections. And the May local elections in the north did not go his way. Hugh, good morning to you. Good morning to everyone else joining us as well. Like I say, if I've missed your comment or anything like that, like I say, good morning to you. But it is a strange reason why they put him there. Macclesfield is Midlands, Barnsley is Midlands. Well, we almost were. We almost were. They originally wanted to make us the North Ridings instead of South Yorkshire, and we said no to that. We said no. We ain't Midlands. We're from Yorkshire. And we quickly put a stop to that. So, I really don't understand how he got there. I really don't understand how Lee Anderson got there, but I highly suspect it was he promised, like Rishi, that he could win the North. But as we've discussed recently, there is an active presence to unseat Lee Anderson in his own home constituency because of how embarrassing he is. Good morning, Sabine. Good morning to you. Ben, yet the Tories probably laughed behind Anderson's back. Oh, absolutely. They probably do not care a lot for any of these Tory voters. In fact, who was it? Who was it recently? It wasn't Jerrick. I can't remember his name now. I can see his face, but I can't remember his name. But he held a constituency meeting. and someone took photos of his constituency meeting because he'd come out and said that all these people had turned up, a cast of thousands according to him, when in reality 4 people had turned up. 4 people, thousands of them, a cast of 4, thousands of them, thousands of constituents, thousands of them. Oh, so he got, to be honest, quite embarrassed. Yeah, don't get me wrong, Kendrick, that's a morning walk of its own. That's very true. He was doing a Trump rally. Wouldn't surprise me if he was. That's very much like he would probably try to do. Mithril, I doubt it, but you hope that Ofcom will find Anderson and others in breach of their code. I hope so too. I really do hope so. That will be amazing if that happens. Because to be honest, Talk TV and GB News really do need to be seriously looked at. And ultimately, the Ofcom code really needs to be updated. The Ofcom code doesn't even take into account things like streaming or anything like that. They tried with ATVOD. If people remember that very short-lived department that was going to sort of have a look at, or at least be in charge of, digital and streaming services, and then they sort of gave up on it, and then they brought it into Ofcom, and it's just been an office that has just sat there doing nothing for quite a while. So we'll see what happens. Larry, that Ofcom have no teeth thanks to the Tories. Yep. Because as we always say, the Tories are not funding these regulatory bodies properly. They've even de-staffed them. This is part of the big problem we're having with a lot of standards and regulations at the moment. In fact, there's a story I'm going to go over today for the channel on this, because they haven't really been funding these regulatory bodies or hiring people to fulfill these regulatory duties, essentially police officers. This is why we are getting a lot of this river pollution, because the Environmental Agency just does not have enough officers to be able to go and police all these amount of rivers. So as a result, you are constantly seeing this. You also need off-sprint. Well, that is true. There has been talk of a while for a royal charter, but I doubt very much that will ever happen, because the newspapers don't want to be regulated. Because most of them are very right-wing, and they'll talk about how it's bad if it happens, but when it actually comes to it, they don't really want to be regulated. And it's not just rivers that are suffering. And according to this article that I went over recently, apparently it is honey as well that is suffering. So because producers aren't having all these the regulatory visits that they used to have anymore, apparently honey in the UK has gotten worse. So if you're a honey fan in the UK, apparently you all have meant to have noticed, again, the guy that we're going to sort of look at today, he is a honey expert, and even he says, look, honey in the UK is getting actively worse because we haven't really funded these bodies to go out and check the stuff that we're selling. So this is because they are not funding these bodies. They are not expanding these bodies. They are still the same size as if we were in the EU. But the thing is, when we were in the EU, you had access to hundreds of thousands of extra inspectors who could come and do all this type of stuff. Now we don't. And then, of course, if they were found guilty, they'd have to, pay the EU fines. But of course, they're not have to pay those EU fines anymore. Instead, they can just get away with it. There's news today about a water expert is apparently meant to be taking a water company to court because it's based on how polluted your water is. So if they're doing good and your water isn't polluted, they can up their pay, or at least up their rates for you. But if, let's say, the water is, well, now they're going to charge you less. And according to this water expert, these water companies have been lying, not surprised to be honest, about how clean their water actually is, which really shouldn't surprise you, to be honest, given the amount of spillages that we've had. But there you go. Like I say, not surprising at all in the least, but there you go. So, one of the interesting things that will come out of this is highlighting yet again one of the big things that we talked about the fact that, look, the UK public are eventually going to notice and realise that how important regulations actually are, and that funding these things are pretty important. Yes, that's very true, Maggie. Boil your water. Boil your water before drinking it. So this is going to make people realise just how important that actually is. Because this was one of the things that we talked about that was important that people weren't realising. Because you had all these Brexiteers saying, oh no, you don't understand. If we leave the EU, we'll continue to keep all these really high standards and the regulations that we currently enjoy. In fact, they're only going to get better. But we've seen constantly all these Brexiteers, all these leavers argue for lowering standards, for lowering regulations, when that was the exact opposite of what they were saying and promising at the 2016 referendum. I just wash my wellies while I'm here. I'm just stood in the stream. I don't know if you can see. There we go. There we go. Have a little welly wash. Yeah, spot the third time. Yep, use a filter jug. That's also very true. Like I say, there's plenty of things out there if you are really worried about your, the quality of your water. But to be honest, it's only generally if you're down south. If you live up north, you actually have probably some of the best water quality in here, in the north. So, Mithril, as an angler, you feel you can't go safely fish on the rivers anymore? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. In fact, I think there is. I think there is some sort of angular movement for this. It's like anglers for clean rivers or something like that, I believe it is. I can't 100% remember what the organisation's called, but I know they exist somewhere. But like I say, if you are concerned about that, go join them. And like I say, show them some support. Oh, hang on, Sabine, I missed that. Yep, Sabine. So no control on Brazilian meats for salmonella. The UK inspection requirements for Brazilian meat imports will no longer face salmonella testing prior to leaving Brazil following the arrival in Britain. Yep, doesn't surprise me. Does not surprise me. That does not shock me at all in the least, Sabine. It's exactly what we have been seeing all the time since these Brexit checks have come into place. Yeah, we're not going to check it all. And here's the thing. They are building themselves up for like a massive scandal. Because sooner or later, if people remember the horse meat crisis that we had, when was the horse meat crisis? Now it was like the late teens, the late naughty teens. I think it was, or it might have been the late noughties. Oh, when was it? I think it was like 2008, 2009. And I'm sure people remember at the time the Iceland boss coming out and saying, eating horse meat's fine, there's nothing wrong with it. And then he was very quickly fired from his position. Yeah, that was a massive scandal. That was a massive scandal when that happened. So eventually, and it's going to happen sooner or later, it is a literally ticking time bomb that will eventually explode under Brexit. And when it does happen, we need to just go, hey, look, we've been warning you all this time about these problems, about that this is going to happen. You've ignored us consistently. You've ignored experts. You know, and you can just point all this stuff to Brexit. You can once again make the case of, well, look, if we actually had properly funded regulators, properly funded regulatory bodies that had proper powers, this would not happen. And once again, it's a case against Brexit. Gus, say it with me now. It's what the Brexiteers promised back in Will, thank you for that. Yeah, eating horse meat is a Brexit benefit. Yeah, checkmate indeed. Checkmate, Remainer. I've always wanted to. I don't know if you've ever seen it, and I really want to do it sooner or later. Have you ever seen the Civil War historian Ashante films, where he does his series of Checkmate Lincolnites, and he sort of fact checks like Civil War history, and he has another, like, one version of himself on the Union side and the other version of himself on, like, dressed up in the Confederate side. I would generally love to do that one day as a, like, you know, checkmate Remainers, and just do it something like that. I think that would be amazing to do. I generally think that would be amazing to do. Yeah, well, this is it. This is what, remember, if you remember what the scandal was, it was about the fact that these meats weren't labelled correctly. That they said it was beef, when it wasn't, it was horse meat. Now, like I say, there's nothing wrong with eating horse meat. he says, wandering close to a field of ponies. I'm sure you're delicious, fellas. I'm sure you're delicious. But it's about the correctly labeling of these products. And one thing that we have noticed, certainly from the Pacific Partnership deal that we've done, which country is it now? I'm having having an absolute brain fart today. Thank you very much, Maggie Pie, BSC, salmonella, food poisoning, and cholera. Yeah, the true holy trinity of Brexit. come back to haunt us. But thank you very much, Maggie Pie, for your super chat. But anyway, it doesn't matter what country it is at the moment. I'm sure someone will say when it is in chat. But they've put out a thing saying that they don't want their products, or at least the origin of their products, labelled in Britain. So we are having to accept that products from this country are not going to be labelled, so that the British public can essentially not boycott those products. And that is part because we have joined the Pacific Partnership. And we always said that it is what would happen. You know, you join this Pacific Partnership and you have to accept local standards. It's not about everyone is on, you know, here's the line and everyone agrees, you know, that's like the minimum standard that no one can go below, like when we're in the EU. It is your standards up here, ours is down, you know, yours is down here, so we're actually going to accept your lower standards. So it is a mutual recognition of standards. Even if those standards are lower, they can still send their products here, even if they do not meet our minimum standards. And if we do, for any reason, block those products or anything like that, well, they can sue us in secret courts. So, you know, fantastic news, as always. So, thank you very much for joining us today on this absolutely gorgeous Wednesday today. It's been absolutely completely different from what we've had very recently, which has been non-stop rain continuously. But yeah, it's nice to actually have a nice day. Somewhat. Yeah, pork markets. You are right, Larry the Cat. It's all about those pork markets. So, thank you very much once again for everyone for joining me. Like I say, we'll see you on Saturday for a good morning walk. Watch out later today where we'll be dropping the Pony Club video for all our Patreon members and of course our members of the Pony Club. Like I say, you can see the members in the chat with their little blue name tags and the little badges that they get when they're a member of the club. Have an absolutely fantastic Wednesday. Yes, thank you very much, Maggie Pie. I will do. You too as well. And like I say to everyone else, have an absolutely fantastic Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of the week. And we'll see you, of course, as always, Saturday morning, bright and early, for another good morning walk.